Yeah, so this should all seem tremendously hard. We're learning to play a musical instrument. That's something that takes like a lifetime to get decent at, let alone really, really good at. Or even if we're not going for really, really good, or I play fast or any of that shit, just to be able to do basic hand movements, it means reassessing your starting position, among other things. So what's been occurring for you is the fretboard falling down in this direction, which happens for everyone at first. And then your hand position being I rest my arm on my leg and then thumb over top is leading to only about this much of your finger being available to you. If I was in that position, I'd be having this exact same issue trying to reach my index to my pinky. So let's start with positioning the guitar. What we want is, as like if you can do this, within 24 hours of our lesson, you'll retain more. But so if I plop the guitar down dead center, about an inch and a half away from my body, and let go, it would fall this way. What we want to do is move it about a half inch in this direction, not such that it's resting on this. We're still using the contours of the guitar, but if anything, it would fall off in that direction, but still using, not here, but like right there. It's really a small adjustment, and then the main way we position the instrument is with our, we lean it against our body, which what your default has been too close to your body, such that it's like this straight up and down thing. So yeah, we want somewhere in between, that and what's been happening. We achieve a feeling of like being more anchored in than with it resting against our body rather than straight up and down, which facilitates the I'm gonna fall that way thing. So even with it just resting against my body and letting go, it's gonna chill there now, let alone throw my arm around the instrument, not like this, but around it. And then you should really, there shouldn't be anything pulling the guitar down here anymore at that point. You rest your humerus right on the instrument, and that's the main thing that's positioning it. Just the big old bone right there, boom, nothing else is happening. And we're in a position where we can totally play or finger pick or whatever. What that causes is the instrument's up higher, classical musicians, even if for you personally, you might switch to the other leg, even if it feels cheesy, just to give yourself like a rebirth. But I think you can try working it out this way extensively first. So, just like at home now, pause the video and take forever to get that positioning we were just talking about, where you're just like, I'm ready to play, or when you start playing, the instrument doesn't trip out down there. So when you're in the position, it's no longer going to be tempting to rest your your elbow on your leg, because it'll be too far away for that to make sense. So classical thumb position's dead center. We use it for the following context: bar chords and stuff with reaches in them. What I'm doing right now, if I was thumb over top, would be an impossibility. And the reach thing, and what you're experiencing with your bar chords is like this feeling of it being off to the side like that. And it's all just related to the same concept, which is thumb up too high. If it's all the way over there, I'd be dealing with the same exact thing. But when it's chilling here, if you just start with 4 fingers ready to do stuff, and then very slowly move your fingers into position, take a long time to do that, and then start pushing down, rather than assembling it as a shape where you start to push down as you go, that'll be better. It's always our goal to be in good position pushing down, and then move on from there to whatever else is going on. So it might just be when one undertakes a bar chord, having played quite a bit, that it's like you've got 2 pounds too many on the bar, you just can't quite get it. But that said, hold down that position and it'll actually happen. So arm down lower gets weird, thumb up higher gets weird, and also with the positioning of your first finger, even though we're not working on bar chords too much, but there's just like one more detail. You just scooch it up a little higher to where you're using this knuckle as well, not just then that's going to go better. Because then we end up with this flat piece of our hand involved. You can even put it up ridiculously high as training wheels, and a lot of people have success with that, and then you'll find that what you've been experiencing is trying to do it for starters, this keeps happening. So, I would definitely just start with fretting the power chord well, And not just like for power chords on their own, you can be in whatever position and get 1, 2, 3 notes, and that's what you're doing. You're starting from power chords that you've played and trying to add this other stuff. So start with like a properly fretted, not off to the side power chord, which does require classical position as well. Or it can be done in thumb over top, but then you really can't do anything but maintain that shape or do something else that's bunched up. Like I can't reach my pinky anywhere or anything. So yeah, just go boom, boom, boom. Then it's your tendency to put your middle finger 1 string too high and then correct it. So try to just, instead of doing that, put it directly on your G string, 3rd string, and then, push down. There you go. So again, it's like just take however long it takes to get the power chord in place where your thumb's still in the position we talked about and you're not tempted to do this, which was all a product of down too low and a million other things. Then put your middle finger in there, and then and only then worry about barring. Keeping in mind that we're trying to use this part of our finger, and your thumb's going to be about dead center, not down here, not up here. That's what you're struggling with. Same thing with this. Your pinky really shouldn't feel like a reach there. So that's what we're going for. Is I am 4 fingers on the bass string, ready to do stuff. And when we're on the low strings, we tend to play single notes rather than bends a lot. So, it's like, as I travel, my thumb travels up to where I eventually end up in thumb over top position. But my thumb over top position is not drastically different than my classical position. Here's classical, thumb over top is just that. All I'm doing is like making a C shape, grabbing the guitar like that, getting the leverage we do from thumb over top, and then still my whole hand is out in front of the instrument, rather than if I put my thumb kind of in that position, which is what most people do intuitively at first, is like dead center or too high, let alone down here too high, trying to figure that out. So there's your main thing, is just starting position. The more time you can make yourself start in good position, it'll be a time saver, even if that part's not fun. So that's really what I want you to work on, is just go home and do that, and then when you start to go, your pinky shouldn't feel like a reach. It might feel unfamiliar because you're holding the instrument differently than you usually do, but it shouldn't feel like a reach, or let alone it shouldn't feel like a reach at all, let alone a substantial reach. It should be like, boom, boom, boom. And then don't worry about too much about your thumb positioning as you move through this, but naturally, when we get to the high strings, our hand tends to roll into more of that position. What we always want to avoid is creating a bunch of distance back there, where we have less of our hand available to us. So there's that. Why don't you just go home and try to do the same exact stuff we were doing from last time, the hammer-ons and so forth. And we'll just do a half hour today. As well as anything you've tried playing with bar chords in it, especially if it's just like 2 chords long, or something where it's first position chords and then there's 1 bar chord. Trying to play something familiar because where you have to switch between thumb over top and classical position, which is something that we do pretty regularly. It's like if I'm doing stuff with reaches and then I want to bend, I'm going from classical to thumb over top. Anyhow, there you have it. That's how to hold the guitar, troubleshooting exactly the things that were happening for you.